All right. Well, we are live on all of our formats. Hello to all of you guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Appreciate you spending the time with us here on this beautiful Friday, wherever you are in the world. It is Friday. It's a Friday. So wherever you are, happy Friday to you. Hopefully, well, in some countries, actually, they're a little few hours ahead of us, so they're Saturday. But for everybody else, happy Friday to you. I appreciate you guys being here on and just spending some time. Yeah. Well, so yep. So let me get through the business part of everything before we get into the meat and potatoes of the presentation. I invite you to please go to our sponsors website, which is kgradb.com. Again, KGRAD as in dog, B as in bicycle.com, and make sure you subscribe there. But put Bishop as your promo code, because if you do, you're going to get 30% off your subscription. Now, look, it's already very inexpensive. They have some terrific shows there, really terrific shows. So if you love the paranormal, like I do, if you love the supernatural, if you love all that, then you have to go to that website, kgradb.com. Put Bishop as your promo code. Thank you, Suzanne. And also, I want to, if you want to go to my website, it's very simple, bishopjameslong.com. There you go. That's it. Simple, bishopjameslong.com. So if you're really, really, really bored, you can go to the website if that's what you really want to do. More importantly, if you want to go to the church's website, that's simple, usocc.org, usocc.org. Now, I want to remind everybody that tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have night prayer as we do Monday through Friday. Every Monday through Friday at 10 p.m. It is the same night prayer. It's called Compline that I prayed while I was studying in the Roman seminary. I loved it. I tried to bring that experience and present it to you guys, to the public. It's a beautiful community that we're building over there. And just, you can go to usocc.org. Scroll down to where you see night prayer. You'll see it. Just click on it. It takes you right there. It's strictly, by the way, on Spreaker. So it's not on video. It's only on audio. Okay. So that way, you know. That way, you know. Well, hello there, Willie Gibson. Hello to everybody. Hi to all you guys. Listen, today we're going to have a real cool conversation. And I hope, thank you, Suzanne. I hope you guys are ready for this one. Now, again, for those of you on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Spreaker, KGRADB, if you hear me say thank you to people, it is because I have people on TikTok offer gifts to the ministry, or they're subscribing or something, and I say thank you. So please remember, I have 3 different computers running at the same time. So if I don't see your chat or what you ask, it's not because I'm ignoring you. It's because I have 3 different computers running. So I have a lot of chat rooms open right now. There's a lot. So I do encourage you. If you would like, I want you to also feel that you can ask a question to this guest that we're going to have on tonight. Because this, folks, let me tell you something. I love the paranormal. I love the supernatural. And I love talking about topics like this because I truly believe this is happening. I am convinced it is. And tonight, our topic is electronic harassment, electromagnetic torture, psychotronic torture, people hearing voices, techniques to actually transmit sounds and thoughts into people's heads. Friends, this stuff is real. Now, I have a guest on tonight, and boy, I had the opportunity to speak to him the other day. What a man, he's passionate about this, just as I'm passionate about what I do. He's passionate about this. So let me tell you who we have. John Frysek. I hope I didn't butcher. John Frysek. He is the quintessential expert in security investigations and protective services. Let me tell you a little bit about John. John is a tactical countermeasures surveillance expert. He has many years with experience with electronic harassment and TSCM, which of course stands for Technical Surveillance Countermeasures. Now, he has performed numerous investigations involving electronic harassment and direct energy weapons, and was also involved, by the way, with the past effects of the Havana effect in Cuba, when our American consulate was under attack by direct energy weapons, which, by the way, we have validated. This has been validated. And John possesses the skill set and knowledge to conduct electronic countermeasures investigations for people and Fortune 100 corporations throughout America. So let me tell you a little bit about John. He's a 35-year-old veteran a 35-year veteran of security investigative tactics, is offered his knowledge and services in a national atmosphere. So John is a certified personal protection specialist and a licensed private detective. He's a licensed Illinois alarm contractor, and he, by the way, owns an Illinois licensed security agency that offers armed and unarmed protection services to many Fortune 100 and 500 clientele. So John is also a certified personal protection specialist and executive protection specialist that has served numerous higher level corporate clientele, as well as many well-known celebrities throughout the nation for the last 30 years. By the way, he's a special and second degree black belt in Taekwondo, small arms weapons and defensive weapons specialist, and he brings his vast knowledge in personal protection for civilians in an easy, simplistic manner where everybody can learn no matter the age or physical condition one may be in. That I love. In the expansive world of security and investigations, few names resonate as powerfully as John. With an unparalleled journey of over 35 years, John has not just witnessed the evolution of the industry, but has been instrumental in shaping it. See, his dual roles as president of Total Security Group, Inc. and CEO of the renowned Chicago investigative firm Special Solutions, Ltd., only scratch the surface of his professional expanse. Now, Special Solutions, Ltd., under John's meticulous leadership, is a formidable entity, teaming with 14 elite private investigators who have extensive backgrounds in law enforcement, corporate security, military intelligence. And John's reputation as an executive protection security expert is legendary. His vast clientele, ranging from celebrities to corporate tycoons and influential figures, trust him implicitly for his expertise, discretion, and commitment to their safety. Now, his investigative reach is deep and varied. As a licensed private investigator, he tackled high-stakes cases for Fortune 100 and 500 corporations, often unraveling mysteries that seemed impenetrable. Now, yet, investigations and executive protection are just two facets of John's multidimensional expertise. He is a master of undercover operations, adept at blending in seamlessly while gathering critical intelligence. His prowess as a TSCM, which again means technical surveillance countermeasure specialist, is sought after, ensuring environments are free from unwanted electronic eavesdropping, which is occurring quite often. This skill, of course, fits perfectly with his proficiency in both overt and covert CCTV digital video camera operations. Now, whether it's for evidence, security, or monitoring, John's expertise ensures impeccable video capture. And further, augmenting his security suite is his role as an alarm specialist, system specialist. Understanding the intricacies of various alarm systems, John ensures optimal safety for both residential and commercial establishments. And his keen eye for detail also makes him a go-to professional for designing physical security structures, ensuring that premises are not just secure, but impenetrable. And by the way, on the training front, John is certified as an active shooter instruction trainer, a testament to his commitment to proactive security. And his additional roles include business fraud investment investigator, firearm trainer, martial artist, and an expert in personal protection tactics and de-escalation strategies. Now, beyond his technical expertise, John's ability to distill complex security knowledge into relatable insights stands out. See, his commentary and educational endeavors make security accessible and understandable to the general public. And it's true, because when I was speaking to him the other day, this is not my expertise. I would say, well, sure, theology and philosophy, demonology, angelology, all day long. I could throw out the jargon terms and teach people, but he was just talking to me, just as I'm talking to you now, and I understood everything that he was saying. And that's not easy to do when you have jargon terms, and we'll talk about that in just a second. In essence, John is more than a seasoned professional. He is an institution in himself. His vast skills combined with his unparalleled experience makes him the quintessential expert in the world of security, investigations, and protective services. And by the way, it was just the other day that he sent me a very kind rosary. And I want to share this with everybody. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Of course, it is the St. Benedict. It's a St. Michael rosary. But he sent this to me in the mail. And boy, that was very touching. So I appreciate that very much. So without further ado, now that you have we have a true expert in this field. Let's get him on air. Hello, John. How are you?
Bishop Long, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me on, sir.
Well,
Good day.
it is a pleasure having you on. And I would just remind me never to mess with you, because I'm sorry, you a Taekwondo expert and security expert. Ain't nobody gonna be messing with you now, John. That's all I can say.
You have the Holy Spirit on your side, Bishop.
That's right. Yes,
a lot more powerful.
It's a lot. Amen to that. Well, you have the Holy Spirit on your side too, so you're a faithful believer in Christ. So,
yes, sir. Yes, sir, I am.
John, before we get into the meat and potatoes of the presentation, first of all, tell everybody your website so that people can look up on the internet and see a little bit more about you.
Sure. One of them, Bishop, is called Electronic Threats. That's plural.com. And you can go on Electronic Threats and you can read some various articles and some videos over the years governed into YouTube about electronic harassment and other electronic threats anomalies throughout America and the world. So we put it together in a realistic fashion without, hyping our hyperbole. And, it makes a good read.
And you say that's electronicthreats.com.
Correct. Electronicthreats.com.
And then
yes,
do you have another website that you would like to share before we get into the conversation?
Sure. If someone wants more information on the investigative side and TFCM, then that would be Special Solutions with an S, LTD.com. Special Solutions, LTD.com. Thank you, sir.
All right. Yeah. Let me just LTD.com. I'm going to put this in the chat room here. So Special Solutions, LTD.com.
Yes, sir.
So, guys, again, I strongly encourage you, and we're going to talk about something that I do believe is a problem, and I'm going to talk to you later on. We'll briefly, here's a little teaser. There's a lot of products out there right now with, I guess, kind of determining whether or not you go to a hotel and they have some, cameras, hidden cameras that shouldn't be there. So we're going to talk to John about what you can do about that very issue, because I do believe this is becoming a problem. So, but first, John, before we get into the conversation, let's define some jargon terms. So jargon terms, for those of you who don't know, is terminology that an expert would use in their field that you may not be aware of. And in every field, there's always jargon terms, whether it be like in theology, transubstantiation, consubstantiation, the principle of double effect. I mean, you throw out these terms and people have no idea what you're talking about. So let's talk about define electronic harassment.
Well, electronic harassment is defined where, as an individual, or even sometimes for that matter, animals, can be harassed and they can have idiopathic symptoms to wireless transformations that are going to disturb their neurons in their body. Much like we discussed this before, in our physical cellular structure in our body, our neurons, we do have a very low type of current of electricity that makes our heart beat, our brain go, our spinal cord send images to our brain to move our hands and feet. We all know that. And so we are made up of cellular electricity, okay? Not the type of cellular electricity that's going to shock someone, much like if you move across the floor and you rub your feet against the carpet. I don't know if you ever did that when you were a kid.
Sure.
You touch someone, you zap them, right? Well, that's electric current going through your body. It's the same type of situation.
Okay, fair enough.
But now, with the advent of an egregious and overwhelming amount of electronics that are out there today, okay, our cellular systems in our, physiologically, let's just say, are having to adapt to Wi-Fi, 5G, 4G, 3, a lot of different frequencies that are out there, not analog, but heavy duty digital frequencies that in some instances do harm people physiologically.
Wow.
So there are numerous case studies, New England Journal, all over the world. It's kind of like a hush-hush situation where they don't really want to put it out there for the scientists and the physicists, because people right away gravitate and say, oh, you're crazy. I hate that word crazy, but they think you're crazy, and it's time to get the aluminum hat out. Everybody chuckles and says, oh my gosh, okay, he or she's out of their mind. They think that there's envisioning thoughts in their mind, and voice the skull, and someone's looking through their eyeballs. Now, that could be hyperbole, and that could be a little bit off. So,
Okay.
but electronic harassment deals with a phenomenon of different various signals radiating through one's skin, through one's body, penetrating their organs, but most of all, their brain.
Wow. Okay. So, and this also includes animals too. So we're going to get to that in just a second. Now, can you define how would direct energy weapons, DEWs for short, how would you define direct energy weapons?
Well, it all started, with systems about 25 years ago. They're called active denial systems. And a lot of your major metropolitan police departments, such as New York was the first one to adopt it. And then, of course, Chicago and then LA. And these systems look like they're military giants with a big dish on like a Humvee vehicle. And these active denial systems are called RADs also for, short. It is able to produce an ultrasonic radiant heat wave type of annoying sound to one's physical structure. So whenever there was riots years ago, and right now they're being limited in use because a lot of people were suing the government and suing the police departments because they're proclaiming, oh my gosh, I suffered egregious mental problems and this and the next thing. So they are still used in warfare, like China, the United States, of course, Russia. All the big countries still have this, and they use it for military technology, for defense. And it is, they say, non-harmful and it's non-lethal. But over a period of course of time, you're going to do some cellular damage to the neurons in your brain. There's no doubt about it for prolonged, generation of these would-be weapons. So that's where it started, Bishop.
Now, let me ask you, this highly focused energy and the sounds that are emitting from these direct energy weapons or DEWs,
yes.
Are they disembodied? Can you hear it? Can everyone else hear it? Or is it something that just impacts the brain without it being auditory?
Well, when these first started, the denial system, when they first started, it is directional. Okay. It's not so much now omnidirectional, but it is directional. And what would happen is you would point at a certain crowd, and you go slowly into the crowd, and believe me, they would dissipate. They would leave. So a lot of reporters, and I was struck with it a long time ago off a demo in Virginia. Okay. And let me tell you something. It sounded like someone was knocking on my skull.
Oh.
Very hard with a hammer and a thumping sound. Like thump, 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 thump.
Oh, wow.
And it just really radiated inside your mind, pulsating. And it was like a profound pulsation that was just, really, really aggravating. You want to run away. So, that's what it would do. It would just make people just run away. And a lot of people came forth and said, in the United States, that's pretty egregious behavior for you to be using it on our citizens, which I would tend to agree to a most part. But I think less than lethal is better than, of course, rubber bullets hitting your eye or, tear gas when a person is asthmatic. I mean, they could die of an asthmatic,
sure,
from tear. So I think they're dumbing it down a little bit. If they're reinstitutionalizing it, but this phenomenon, Bishop, goes a lot further than this, and it's been reintroduced as a pretty malignant weapon, as we say, and it's out there today. And of course, a lot of listeners are probably sitting back going, "Uh-oh, this is getting a little strange." However, we all have to have open minds and take the blinders off because there is prima facie evidence that constitutes the realisms of this case.
So let me ask you now, of course, we have the Monsar is asking, of course, and this is global. She's, they're asking, is it called a microwave auditory effect? But also let's talk about the health impacts of microwave technology. So can you, how does this microwave technology, how is that a part of this conversation?
Well, Bishop, as we go back to 1982, I mean, I'm dating myself, we're going back to 82, 83, a wonderful thing called, well, people call it wonderful, the microwave came out. Okay. And I remember the microwave was really quite expensive, 900 to 1,300 bucks.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were a modern home and you wanted your coffee heated up and your sandwich heated up real quick, you would have a microwave. But what people don't understand, microwave is transferable microwave energy, that it's a heat source. And it speeds up the molecular system of an adamant object. So they always say, hey, there is always some leakage with microwaves.
Mm-hmm.
There's no doubt about it. Because if you put a real good microwave RF detector, or even a cheaper one that you buy on Amazon, next to a microwave, you turn it on, a minute, this RF, radio frequency detector, is going to go crazy anywhere from 7 to 2 feet away from the microwave.
Sure.
So moving forward, over the years, the microwave technology and all of the reference notices and warnings would say, if you are pregnant, or if you suffer from arrhythmic heart issues, or you have a pacemaker, please beware not to stand too close to a microwave oven. So
yeah.
the same truths are out there today. Microwave is a transferable energy that heats up the molecular system, heat generation, but it's not good for long periods of time if you stand in front of a microwave. It's not good for your system.
So the question, that Simi's asking, of course, on TikTok is then how do you stop and protect yourself from using? Most everybody, I guess, uses the microwave. So what can you do to where it's safe?
Well, what you do is, if you're going to microwave, where they call, quote unquote, nuke your food at 4 o'clock in the morning because you're tired, you're hungry, you want to step away from the microwave. Okay. I mean, you don't want to just tap your fingers right in front of the microwave, and daydream and say, okay, my food's going to be done in 2 minutes. You want to get at least 5 to 7 or even more feet away. But now we're going to go into not only microwaves, but we're going to go into RF devices, like Wi-Fi devices and GSM cellular devices as well. Now, we talked about this briefly, Bishop. Everybody is quite intrinsically in love with their smartphone.
Sure.
Because it makes life easier.
Yeah.
It does. But it also disengages us from social events, like talking to people other than wondering what the heck's going on with other people around the world.
Very true.
But moving forward, I had the privilege and the authority to talk to some profound engineers with smartphones on the Apple side and on Google side, and as well as Android side. And these are primarily Asian folks who are very, very smart and accomplished. And the one thing they said to me always, they say, don't sleep with your phone next to your head or body. I'm like, well, why? Because even if your phone is not active, but it's still plugged in, it's still committing and gathering frequencies all the time to and from. Now, I don't want to make people, for the lack of better words, overly paranoid or freak out.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact of the matter is, phones are important. They of course, replace 95% of landlines. I mean, heck, when I was a kid, going 20 or 30, 40 years ago, we had, when I'm aging myself, we had rotary dial phones, or we had push dial phones.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that was in more simple times where there was analog and this, that, next thing, AM radio. But moving forward to smartphones, this gives out a lot of different type of EMF electricity, okay, and other radiance. Now considering 5G, which is a multi-trillion-dollar industry. But it is known that 5G, before it hit the open market for civilians, was a government and wartime type of signal because it does penetrate. Now, a lot of people, a lot of electrical engineers who work for big Fortune 500, 100 conglomerates are going to say, hey, John, you need your aluminum foil hat. But it is true. A lot of people these days are suffering from more migraines. They're suffering from more confusion. And how about on restless sleep, Bishop.
Yeah.
A lot of my people that I talk to, my friends and my family, like, I just can't sleep.
So let me ask you this. So for those of you just joining, I'm speaking to my friend John Freisek, who is an expert on electronic harassment and, of course, defense and countermeasures, what you can do to protect yourself. So let's get to the basics here. What is the most common forms of electronic harassment reported by victims? How do they manifest?
Well, that would be for eavesdropping devices that's very easily obtainable on eBay right now, and for that matter, also on Amazon. I mean, I'm going to tell you, for under $40, sometimes $50, you can buy a Wi-Fi spy camera that has audio. Okay, and it's minuscule, and the audio part of it is illegal when you incorporate that into a covert fashion. And depending on where you live in your state, audio is prohibitive if you use it in a covert fashion. It's supposed to be out in the public. So some states have a one party, some states have all party laws, which means if you're using such a device, it's okay as long as all parties acknowledge it.
So you can buy these things for $40 and you can just put them anywhere and it's video and audio?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's quite scary. The Orient, or I should say China, as well as Taiwan and of course Korea and for some, Singapore, they have come out with unbelievable mass production devices that you could hook up commonly to your common Wi-Fi, okay? And you could use these in a surreptitious manner. Why do I know this? Because I am a technical surveillance countermeasure expert, and I do this for corporations, and they're always worried about their secrets being protected in the boardroom.
Wow.
They're coming. They're talking. In the summertime about the new toy that's going to be happening. Come December 25th. They want to know if it's going to be grabbed by surreptitious audio means. And having said that, I possess the skill set and I have the technological equipment that can ascertain what is relative, what is not, what is a false positive, and what's a threat. Mostly in a cellular system, which is GSM, which is a cellular type of transmission, or Wi-Fi. And these are big threats these days, okay? There's a lot of, of course, husbands and wives spying on each other, business partners, or I would just say perverted people too, Bishop, are using these erroneously and unlawfully to spy on where, rooms that have a profound respect for privacy, locker rooms and washrooms, and that there's these, mentally distressed people out there doing that sexual gratification situation. But
Jesus. So let me ask you, are there any patterns or trends like in the demographics of individuals that are targeted by electronic harassment?
Right now, Bishop, the reason why I contacted your office and we started talking about that, right now, let me just put it this way. There's 3 different phenomena that's going on right now.
Okay.
One is with malice and direction, like bioenergy weapons that are hurting governmental officials right now, right today. A lot of people might be nodding their head saying, no, I don't know about that. All you have to do is go on Google and go to YouTube and put in 60 minutes bioenergy, weapon energy, and there's at least 5 60-minute programs that were conducted that talks about the Van effect and all these weapons being used. So there's validity in it because 60 minutes is pretty truthful. They just don't put anything.
Right.
Okay. So, but moving forward, so it's either directed with malice or with criminal intent, or electronic harassment can be also idiopathic, which means it's kind of like depending on your blood type and your cellular structure of your system, you might be simply allergic to too much radiance involving Wi-Fi and cellular systems. Maybe you're living by some cell towers, there's thick cable and wiring, but let's face it, everybody right now with Google and Amazon, there are more satellites going up right now with Elon Musk, who is a great entrepreneur. But I just heard there's thousands now of satellites going up, okay, in space. And he wants to make sure everybody in the Earth has a Wi-Fi connection. Okay. But sometimes I might want to think about this. Do we really need Wi-Fi in our vacuum cleaner or refrigerator? Or, I mean, do we really need
why do you think that's happening? Why? Because I've noticed that too. I have noticed that they're putting Wi-Fi in some everyday equipment. You're thinking, yeah, it's like, why are you putting what
well,
why?
It's the it's serviceability and the simplicity of online programming, and it makes life easier. But realistically, forgive me, Bishop, I think it dumbs us down. Okay? But here's the threat. When it's idiopathic intolerance to wireless frequencies such as Wi-Fi, okay, some people are allergic to it and they get distorted and they get confused, they get headaches, they get rashes, they get burns, and sometimes psychosis starts to set in, frustration and everything. So idiopathic intolerance to wireless frequency is a huge phenomenon right now.
So how do you know if you're how do you know if you're if you're allergic to this type of energy?
Well, quite simply put, if you're having distorted feelings, if you're having like you're tired all the time, you have sudden rashes, you have complicit thoughts that are not yours, and you're confused, and simply put, you start to be, a little paranoid and sleep deprived. I mean, I've been involved with people who are like, it's been 8 days I can't sleep, and when you lack all that sleep, then psychosis sets in because your mind starts to play really bad, egregious, fault systems on you, and you really want to be careful of that. But the biggest situation we're going to talk about that I feel is really intrinsic is that I think there's a connection, and as a spiritualist and as a Christ believer, I mean, I'm an old Catholic guy, but I like your views on the old Catholic Church. But I will say something. There's a lot of phenomenons today hitting Christians, specifically, Bishop, Christians, meaning we have more and more personal clients that right away when you first interview them and they hire me to check out their house, their apartments or their townhouse or their businesses, they're like, listen, something's wrong, something's here. I went online. I think I got a biochip in me. I got an RFID chip in me. I got a nano chip in me. Someone's after me. I'm being gang stalked. I have V2K. I voiced the skull. I have something happening inside of me.
Wow.
Well, they will hire me because I have the skill set and I possess the equipment to go in and scan them in their place. Now, I know it sounds like George Orwell, like, okay, is this guy for real? Well, I am. Because biochips do exist. It's latent Russian technology where they used to, from in the late 60s, hit you with a biochip from afar being shot out of a small caliber sniper gun. I know it sounds like out of James Bond, and it sounds like hyperbole. It sounds, ridiculous, but it is true. Okay. But moving forward, does everybody suffer from this? Well, no, they don't, because they're not high-level government people. Like what happened in the Havana effect in 2016, which I was a part of. There was an attack on the consulate in Havana, Cuba.
Right.
Okay. And I had a retired NASA engineer contact me, incompetent, and he was demonstrating all of these effects: burning, nausea, memory loss, blindness, blurry vision. I mean, all the classic examples of direct energy weapon patterns. So at first, when he contacted me, I said, oh boy, I think this guy's, he might be a little out there. However, I'm a type of guy who likes to listen and learn and draw hypotheses and state the issue and see what's going on here. Well, it turned out to be there was validity. Okay. And it turned out to be that we discussed some different countermeasures that would pick up, that would pick up and be sensitive to these would-be direct particle energy beam microwavable weapons. And it is happening. It is currently happening in Washington, D.C. with certain individuals. Okay, and everybody can watch it on 60 Minutes. There's truth and validity to this. It's happening in Russia. It's happening to a lot of CIA operatives. And the CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency, mixed in with Homeland Security, Marco Rubio's office, Senator Marco Rubio, they're still investigating, but they're kind of like stuck on the stupid about it because they don't know when, wow, here, where, and how it's coming in. But simply put, if you have a good RF detection one that you could buy, they anywhere from $50, which I don't recommend, but 150 up, they go up to the thousands, you will be able to determine, hey, something's not right around here.
So let me ask. Okay, let me ask you this: how do you differentiate then between genuine cases of electronic harassment and mental health conditions? Because it seems like to me they're very similar symptoms.
Yes, indeed they are.
Okay.
We got to assimilate. Well, first of all, the question is like, and I asked a person, have you experimented with drugs?
Okay.
More specifically, crystal meth, and heavy duty marijuana smoking, and I'm talking like over 20 years every day, and of course, crack cocaine. These are some of the symptoms that can weaken your system neurologically, and physiologically give you these patterns of some mental illness. Okay, or if you're going through hard times and you have a nervous breakdown, this and next. I have investigated this. However, I've also investigated where people came to me with these notions, and right away you want to think, okay, call the psychiatrist. Right. But then I found out that there's ground wires and there's really big cellular towers right next to them. Okay, very close proximity with very big rating dishes. And I go there with my equipment. We go up to them, and we're getting big time pack of really big microwave energy. And like I said, it does distort their nervous system. We can always speculate and say, hey, why do we have such high autism Asperger? Okay, why? We do. And why are the bees all of a sudden not populating anymore throughout the world? Honey is very hard to find. Honey is usually being masqueraded by a lot of high fructose.
Yeah, and let me jump in and say what he is saying. Folks, listen. I, as an investigator, going to people's homes, and they tell me they're having this paranoia feeling that there's someone watching them. They feel sick. They feel, of course, nausea. They have, they have migraines. There's all these things that are occurring. I go to their home, and I'm telling you right now, there have been many cases where I take my EMF reader. EMF stands for electromagnetic field. And I take my high EMF reading, and they get the readings are just off the chart. And these, I'm telling, the common denominator that people tell me is this paranoia feeling, the migraine, the feeling nauseous, feeling dizzy, and many times for some people there is a tower right next to them, or they have exposed wiring. So, so let me ask you then, what are the potential long-term physiological effects of exposure to electronic harassment?
I truly believe a lot of memory loss, Alzheimer's, leukemia. I mean, my sister-in-law is still with us, God willing, and she was victimized. She had a broken router right next to her desk that she sat at for 70 years. Okay, I mean, it's prehistoric. She smokes, and she's in pretty good health, but she smokes cigarettes. But she got leukemia. It was never in her family, okay? It was never in her family. And everybody thought, well, you're going to get lung cancer because, you smoke some cigarettes every day. However, a lot of people are coming down with different types of illnesses that are not conducive to, in their gene pool, mind you. And it's a strange phenomenon, which, medical research needs to look in a little bit more. However, like I said, everybody's kind of like, well, we don't want to cause mass hysteria and paranoia. But the one thing I want to say, Bishop, is the third thing that I'm very concerned about. I'm lately noticing that a lot of people are suffering and they're looking for conclusive results, and they all of a sudden pick, electronic harassment and gang stalking, all this. But I'm like, no, because what's the motive? It lacks motive.
Mm.
But what's strange is they're being attacked by sexual thoughts. They're mostly Christians, and voices are telling them, like, forget about God, forget about Jesus.
Wow.
And Bishop, they are all, like I told you, there was a case pretty close to you in Kentucky, Bishop, a couple months ago that we traveled to. And this was a kind gentleman in his late 50s. He lived in a dilapidated house, and he suffered a spinal cord injury, but he wasn't doing any dangerous drugs. But he was telling me that voices in his head keep on telling him to do sexual perverted things to himself.
So, okay, let me ask you this before, without going into deep detail, because obviously we might have, the kids or someone who are, but let me ask you this. But why would someone invest in any type of equipment, the electronic harassment equipment, to attack a guy that seemingly is no threat to them? So why?
That's correct.
So
I guess that's a very good point, Bishop. And the answer to that is correct. There's no motive, sir.
Yeah.
And I asked him, are you a past governmental employee? Like one time I had a woman who was a senior advisor to the IRS. Okay. All right. So that was a motive.
Okay. Sure.
That was a motive, but the conclusivity of the results of the case, warranted that she was near high towers again. She lived on a remote tropical island. There was a lot of, towers, and plus she had a nervous breakdown. But so that is true. The validity of these cases are not always someone's out to get you. Your ex-husband, your neighbor, the guy you dated when you were in 8th grade. I mean, a lot of the time these people think that, they're coming after me for a reason, like gang stalking.
Yeah.
That would be like patterns, multifarious people, and like 50 cars a day are following me. Well, that's not possible unless you're a government agent and you're under suspicion of treason, and you're from another country, whatever. But the fact of the matter remains is that the strange anomaly that's happening today, I truly believe, Bishop, has a spiritual side. Because, everybody used to say when you get the mark of the beast, so to speak, the 666 mark, that someday they're going to mark us with a biochip. Okay. Now, I know it sounds, they broadcasted that for the last 20 years, that someday we're going to get the chip underneath their skin and we'll be able to go to the register and check out any time at the register with a biochip. And they would say, once that's done, that's the mark of the beast. And then, government and the world will control people. They'll no longer have the freedoms of belief and the freedoms of life. But moving forward, like you said, the causation is kind of strange because it's either, like I said, idiopathic, where you're allergic to frequencies,
right,
or it's done with malice. Like I said, you're an ex-CIA operative who knows too much, and that's true. It does happen. It happens in China, it happens in Russia, it happens in Cuba, it happens in multifarious countries. And I really think there's a spiritual side. And I think, and correct me, you're the demonologist, you're the guy who is, but I reached out to Bishop Long because I'm seeing such a strange pattern by many different people of all races and creed and everything are experiencing the same phenomenon.
So so then if this is happening, which you're obviously quite vocal that it is, then the $1 million question I think anybody would ask, are there any known countermeasures or defense against electronic harassment?
Well, I would have to say there's two defenses, Bishop.
Okay.
And one would mean an economical type of RF detector that if you're too close to fields or radiance or microwavable energy or Wi-Fi, sometimes there was places, I'll tell you, a major conglomerate in San Francisco, I went into the corner office where the CEO had an office built out for him for like $2 million. Unbelievable. And I walked in there and my meters and my diagnostics equipment, my TSCM equipment went crazy. We were chirping and beeping. We're like, uh-oh. And I went to the receptionist and go, does this gentleman? He goes, oh, no. Every time he goes in there for the first half an hour, he gets a headache and he gets out. And I noticed that when I went there, it was a 5G. It was a 5G dish from Verizon. Not to mention anything about Verizon, love them. I'm just saying, it was across about 500 feet on a high building, and it was directly pointed in an area where this office could be subject to the direct energy. And no one liked to go in there because it had so much transferable microwavable energy in there, Bishop, that everybody was getting a headache. And the CEO decided to go somewhere else. But moving forward, so you get an RF/microwave detector that can detect these radiant fields. It has a vibration mode. You can wear it in your pocket, and the pen, they're pen sized. I have depictions of them on my internet, on my website. But also, with that being said, it's great to carry around a small, I would say, crucifix. Because I really think this spiritual warfare, I feel in my system of being a sound body and mind, which I would like to think, well, I have some weight to lose, but I'm saying sound mind, that there is a spiritual side. Because some of these places I go to where these people think they're being harassed and victimized by, illicit, transferable devices, I'm feeling a sense of evilness, And I get that sixth sense, I think it's the Holy Spirit maybe telling me something, that there's something just not right.
Wow, I tell you what, that is.
I'm sorry?
Well, let me ask you, because I did just a quick view on just on like eBay, for example, on an RF signal detector, and of course, there's a bunch of them that come up, and I've also seen them advertised a lot on social media. And I've got to be honest with you, I'm confused because there's a bunch of them. There's one for 2019, there's one for 23, and there's one for 16. Somebody, people like myself, I don't know which what to buy, and they have great reviews. So how do you know which one to purchase? That's actually going to be
anything that's going to be like $15 or from China, $20 is not going to be good. Like I said, I got a few on electronicthreats.com. that are decent, they're like, 150, sometimes $175. But, it's much like, hey, I mean, do we have operations in Mexico, or do we rather have an operation here in the United States? You pay for what you get. But you just really have to be cautious. Like, say, if you're sleeping at night and your Wi-Fi's in your room, your router, okay, if you're not using it, turn it off. Okay. Or put like a copper coiled shield. You can buy like copper from Home Depot, and block it a little bit, or Silverell, because having copper in your home, like copper piping and small pieces of copper around you, it absorbs a lot of the EMF and energies. So It's a good thing to have, because every time we go out, no matter where we're at, airports, work, wherever, we're being zapped by a lot of EMF, a lot of other energies, okay? And especially cellular energies too, which is GSM, all right, smartphone. Like when you walk into an airport, there's systems in an airport that will try up to 25, 30,000 times to read the contents on your smartphone. And it's energy that's trying to suck out the information of your cell phone. Now, this is for Homeland Security, okay? Or a lot of people think, yeah, right, Homeland. Well, I mean, I don't keep anything strange on my phone. So if it's going to matter that they're going to look at my phone for safety and for terroristic situations to keep me safe, I really don't have any problem with that. Some people do. I really don't, because it is what it is. I mean, the NSA and other national intelligence agencies, they do read the text message. There is Echelon and there is Pegasus 2.
Okay.
That can basically just dial right in.
So can you provide examples of like true cases, documented cases, besides the Havana syndrome, where electronic harassment has been used for like political or malicious purposes?
Yes. There are devices you could buy. It's illegal, but you smuggle them in from China. And these are called cell blockers and Wi-Fi blockers. And it's high radiant fields that you can get, believe it or not, in like the size of a loaf of bread. That has about 16 different antennas on it. And this will put out so much energy. It's a scrambler, and it blocks but it blocks Wi-Fi and it blocks video signals, and it blocks Wi-Fi, and it blocks, of course, cellular phones, smartphones, 3G, 2G, 4G, whatever. But there's so much energy that comes out of them. If you use that as a makeshift directional energy weapon that costs like $500, if you put that silently in someone's home, okay, you will not only be blocking a lot of their phones and everything, they don't know where it's coming from, but you are going to give them extreme headaches, extreme tiredness, and extreme fatigue, and would be memory loss, no doubt.
So how much would you think, you talked briefly about the type of RF reader, is there a particular brand or cost that you think that people should stick around? In other words, are the $20 ones junk?
Yeah, they really are. They really are. But if you want to go like on Amazon and search RF microwave detection unit, if you're going to stick to the ones that are 45 onward up, they could go all the way up to $1,000 more, or sometimes $4,000. But if you want to stay above like $60, $70, you're going to get a decent unit to protect you. Sometimes they also have camera finders on them. They find the oscillating chip inside of CCTV camera. You probably saw those.
Yeah, well, I just typed it on Amazon, and I went in there, and it sees here hidden camera detector P18 RF, but that's $40. Hidden camera detectors, anti-spy $30.
Bishop, it's always good to look at the customer reviews too.
Yeah, sure.
And to look at the bestsellers, customer reviews, but they also, forgive me, they also give out what is called false positives. So listen, I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Okay, I don't want people to buy one of these and all of a sudden go home and it's beeping. Oh my gosh!
Right.
It gives out false positives, people. So if you turn it down, do it late at night. Go around diligently but carefully. But don't worry about the false positives. Obviously, if you go up to your Wi-Fi or your router, it's going to go off. Okay, and also you can test up against your microwave oven, which I do all the time, and it'll work. But if you lay it next to your bed and leave it plugged in, and you're getting heavy tones at night, well, that might be cause of consideration to either move your bedroom or unplug things.
Okay, because I think a lot of people are asking me, especially on Messenger. I'm getting a lot of questions about is there a particular brand that you would suggest to purchase, where if perhaps maybe less than $75, because there's a lot of people that are concerned about this, and they want to do their own reading, especially this is really big now. That's on social media. A lot of people are selling these type of devices to scaring people if you're going out like to a hotel, and they say you got to make sure that there's no hidden camera that's around, and they sell all these gadgets, and quite honestly, a lot of them are junk, but phenomenally, they have the best reviews in the world for like $15 gadget.
Right. And unfortunately, there's one specifically called i4 technology, but they are more expensive, i4 technology. And I will have to say most of them come from Ukraine and Russia. And having said that, but it's pretty good technology if you have the money and the affordability. But realistically, these are all generic and they don't really have any set names. Okay. But I would have to definitely recommend, use proper discernment, go on Amazon, go on my site if you want, because I got some good winners on my site too. Not that I'm trying to, self-proclaim anything, but, electronicthreats.com has some different things on there.
I'm sorry, what was it? What was it again?
Electronic Threats with an S. .com. And, if you want to go on there and take a look, there's some decent units that I've used. Now, I don't particularly use those units professionally in the field, because I have well over $350,000 to $400,000 worth of professional equipment. Wow. That's my retirement, Bishop.
Absolutely, yeah. That's phenomenal.
And the way the technology always changes. Ooh, wow. But so people, like I said, you can't be over judgmental. There's going to be false positives. Your neighbor might have a big Wi-Fi. Your neighbor might have, Wi-Fi cameras all over his house and extenders. Everybody knows what those are. And, because everybody loves to have the strongest signal. Sure. So just use proper discernment, proper, be analytical about it. And like I said, don't be over sensationalized and thinking right away you got a problem. Like, it's more idiopathic than anything, allergic. And, but it is a phenomenon, Bishop. It is happening more and more.
So let's close this out with this question. What are the future trends that you are seeing and potential developments in the field of electronic harassment research and prevention?
Well, I have to say, be cautious about getting the new systems. And I'm not going to be a big advocate on wireless technology that's coming out, believe it or not, a 5-volt charging system that goes through the air, Bishop.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So they're in another year, they're gonna come out with a charging system that you have your phone, and with your in a 25 to 50 foot radius in your house, your phone and your smartphone and your iPads, everything will be able to be charged in air. I don't think that's smart.
Boy, that is, we really are not taking into effect how this could actually affect everybody. That's terrible.
Oh, absolutely. Unquestionably. They don't understand the seriousness of this.
I will say, there is some problems with, idiopathic intolerance to wireless frequency with people's blood types, neurological condition. We're just simply around too many electronics.
Well, John, I really appreciate you taking this time and educating us about this this really important topic. So thank you so much for your expertise and sharing your knowledge.
Bishop, always a pleasure. I'm a big fan. I thank you very much for all your kindness and what you do under the Lord's name. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, my friend, and you have a beautiful day.
God bless.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Wow, folks, that was just, I'm telling you, that's some serious conversation there. And that should be, that's a good point as far as these electronic equipments that are, charging now through the air. I mean, so we have no idea what this is doing to us. We have no idea. And I'm not into the scare tactics and all this, but I think we need to be aware because I think this is absolutely really serious stuff. So electronicthreats.com, and of course, then also Special Solutions. That's the website, specialsolutionsltd.com. So if you need his assistance, obviously he's the man to go to. So Special Solutions with an S, LTD.com. Make sure you go to that website to also check out some of the, because I went to the website and he has several things that suggestions that you purchase. And I thought it was really important because I am seeing a lot of advertisement all over social media about, if you're going online or if you're going out of town and they're selling these, these readers, but they're just $15, $20. And I matter of fact, I was tempted because, as clergy, obviously I have to many times leave and go to people's homes, or just go to a paranormal conference, and you really don't know where you're staying. I mean, you don't. Hopefully, you stay at a place where it's respectful, but you don't know the person who was there before you, and it's always important. I think it's always important to just make sure, because there's been a lot of stories out there where people go to a hotel, even a reputable hotel, and they had one of these devices, and they detected that there was a little hidden camera there, and that is a problem. That is a real serious problem. So make sure, again, you check out his website. Again, it is Special Solutions, specialsolutionsltd.com, and go there. And what that's interesting, isn't it? We were not that they had Wi-Fi issues, so we're here in the studio and we're rocking and rolling. So boy, I tell you what, hidden cameras at a particular coffee shop in the Bay Area. That's a good point. So yeah, you might want to check that out. You might want to check out these I probably will end up purchasing one because it does make me a little uncomfortable when you're reading some stories. And I have read quite a few stories. As a matter of fact, I even talked to a friend of mine who is a paranormal celebrity, if you will. And they went to a conference, and they went to a hotel, and this was a nice hotel. And he had one of these devices, and it kept going off. And he thought, what in the world's going on here? What in the world? And apparently someone had put a camera in, there was, the little shelf where they always have like the Bible or something. But they put a little camera right there on the side, which is very small, very hard to detect. And he just happened to be a paranormal investigator, and his machines kept going off and off and off. And so he found it, he detected it, and he reported it. And this was this was a reputable hotel. So that's a problem. That is a problem. My goodness gracious. Yeah. So welcome everybody. I appreciate you guys being here. Hopefully you've enjoyed that. That was, to me, I tell you what, he is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to his topic. And that is problematic. And it is true. There's been many, many times where I have gone to someone's home and they have expressed this feeling of dread of someone watching them, the paranoia, and they even were worried that, they were losing their mind. And so we many times I've gone there with my EMF reader, and the EMF spiked. I mean, just unbelievable. Just it was crazy. And 9 times out of 10, at least from our experience, it was always some type of wiring issue, whether it be exposed wiring or the wiring that was problematic. It wasn't properly grounded, or the terminology that they use behind the drywall. And so pretty interesting, pretty interesting. So, but the Havana syndrome, that's an issue. So be careful if you're going out there, if you're going to a hotel or wherever you are. Make sure if you're going to pick up one of these RF readers, make sure you find one there's a reason they're $15. So there's a reason they're $20, and they're being sold like crazy on the internet, like crazy. And according to John, he's the expert. They're junk. They're junk. They can, Judy Ann, and that's, we didn't get into that conversation very much because I didn't want to keep John too long. But I absolutely am convinced. Judy Ann says, if demons can throw voices, can't they also harness these technology frequency? Yeah, absolutely. And this is one of the things that John he touched on that briefly about. There's a lot of people, especially from his perspective, a lot of Christians seem to be attacked by this one for a variety of reasons. But remember that the demonic entities are not stupid. So demons can absolutely manipulate any type of equipment that we are using. This is why I tell people, when you're paranormal investigating, you need to be aware that you may not be speaking to who you think you're speaking to. And the demons will many times come across as, well, I'm a child, or I'm not a threat or something. And then before you know it, now you're communicating and you're inviting a demon to have that interaction with you, and that can cause the attachment. So demons are absolutely fully aware of the technology that we are utilizing in paranormal investigating. Or not only that, and there's a lot of people will go out and download these equipments or these apps, especially on their phone, and then they take it into their house. And they start just playing around with, I just want to see if it works. I just want to see if it's any good. I just want to see. I'm telling you now, that's dangerous stuff. That is dangerous. Do not do that. That is a form of imitation. There are consequences for investigating, and you have to be aware of those consequences. Right, and then it snowballs. So yeah, I'm convinced that the demonic demons can absolutely manipulate the technology that we use. They are quite savvy. They're not stupid. And they're very manipulative. So you have to be careful. You have to be careful with these type of equipments that you're using. Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah, the apps. There are apps that people can a demon copy the looks of someone. Well, as far as a full body apparition, yes. Now, if someone's asking, cat is asking, can a demon copy the looks of someone? Well, I had a case actually where it was a mom. She was a young mother. She was pretty heavy in the dark stuff, in the dark arts when she was younger. Now, when she was teenage years, she did some things that she shouldn't have done, but she didn't think much of it. And she turned her life around and she walked away from that life. And that was wonderful. She had a child, a young boy, and he was playing a ball in the front yard, and he kicked the ball out in the street, and he ran towards it to get it, to retrieve it. And unfortunately, a car had hit him, and he lost his life. Now, the mother was obviously distraught, understandably so. But 2 days later, her family began seeing her go into the little boy's room and sing his favorite lullaby. I think he was like 4 or 5 years old. And she would sing his favorite lullaby, and she would look like she was holding him, like she was sitting in the bed, looking at him and singing. Now, thank you very much, Scary. Now, of course, my first initial thought when the family told me that is obviously she's so distraught that she's in some form of psychosis, and we understand. I mean, obviously, if you lose your 4-year-old baby, I mean, of course. So we got involved with this case, and they had other activity in their home that was beginning to become violent. Religious objects desecrated, the bangings, the smelling, the animals being terrified. So she went into the bedroom when we were there, and I heard her singing his favorite lullaby. The door was just briefly cracked, and I kind of opened it just a little bit so she couldn't see or hear me, and I took a picture where she couldn't hear or see. And I looked at it, and I was flabbergasted because I absolutely see and I wish the family would let me show it, but they won't. So we don't do that. But it's a full body apparition of what appears to be her little boy. And it was very clear. I mean, this was so clear. It's very rare that you see a full body apparition, but this was so clear that I can see the body, I could see the face, everything. There were no eyes. And that was a tough case. That was a really hard case because she had lost her son just a few days prior to us showing up. And then I had to tell her, I'm sorry, but I don't think that's your son. And so she lost her son again. So we had to get her counseling, and that was tough. That was a very tough case, but there was no question that particular case was demonic in nature. No doubt about that at all. None. The activity was really violent. So people, that's why it kind of makes me angry sometimes when people, kind of diminish or say, well, there's no such thing as demons and that's just nonsense. Well, this woman went through pure hell. And if you were to tell her there's no such thing as demons today, she would look at you like you're a three-faced alien, because she certainly, without a doubt, she experienced it. And remember, she was in her 20s, and I would say probably about 15 years later, or 15 years earlier, she had messed with things she should not have messed with. And but the demons waited for the opportune time, and they did. And that's when she at her most vulnerable. That's when they approached her. And that was a tough case. That was a really, really tough case. Yeah, keep in mind, folks, for those of you who are asking, a lot of people are asking, today is the paranormal shows. We're here Sundays and Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That we talk biblical, we talk theology there. And I really try to separate today's show from any other show that we do, because even on Sundays and Wednesdays, I'm very strict about that, keeping it theological. Today is Paranormal Friday. So a lot of people wait for an entire week for this show. So today we deal with paranormal topics, demonology, things of this nature. Yeah, see, Joseph, how much special training does the bishop have to go through? for exorcism certification. Now, there really is no certification. What happened? You need to go through angelology. You need to study demonology, obviously theology. You need to be trained by a validly ordained clergy member. So basically, you need to understand the rite and, of course, the prayers that are associated with the rite itself. And the bishop then gives the permission for the priest to perform the exorcism, the solemn rite of exorcism. And it requires, obviously, if you are ordained and you are called to that ministry, then the bishop can speak to you about learning what you need to learn. But there's so much that the books can teach you. Just like my first exorcism. When I was the assistant, I wasn't the primary, I was the assistant. And that actually, and I've talked about that before, that the first exorcism that I performed, or that I assisted in, that was actually on the Eli Roth Presents Legion of Exorcists show. And that was a eye-opener, that was a literal eye-opener. So I had read for years about how the eyes can go solid black, or you go into a room and you feel the overwhelmed sensation of dread and the oppressiveness. That's one thing reading about it, but when you're actually physically there, you realize how ancient this thing is and how violent this angelic or demonic being that obviously is an angel by nature, but how powerful. And so you have to rely on your faith. Your faith is absolutely crucial during an exorcism. It's absolutely crucial, because I know toe to toe I could not possibly physically defeat a demonic. There's just simply no way. So it is. But when you're there and you actually, your whole body, let me just hold on. Again, I've talked about this already. They had Wi-Fi issues. When you have to, guys, when you're physically present in someone who is possessed, everything in your body is telling you to run away. Everything. They tell you to get out. Your body is screaming to tell you to run away. So you're doing just the opposite of what your body is telling you to do. That could call it the sixth sense, whatever you want to call it. But your body is saying run. It is flight or fight type of mentality kicks in. And your training teaches you to stand your ground, keep your faith strong, trust in the prayer, and trust, of course, in God, and proceed. So many people would, if you don't have the training, the flight, because that's what your body's telling you to do. But when you're in the presence of someone who's truly possessed, the books can't teach you that. They can't teach you that. And the parlor tricks that the demonic will do, you just have to realize and accept the fact that they are parlor tricks to try to intimidate you. And they can be intimidating if you allow that to happen. So, no. Demonic entities cannot read your mind. They're not God. So that's really important. They are not superior or equal to God. That's why someone asked me the other day, can they hear your prayers? Absolutely not. When you are praying to God, they absolutely cannot hear your prayers. That is, we've elevated demons to a status of such a supernatural status that we almost place them on the same level of God. We got to be very careful. That's blasphemy, obviously, and we can't do that. So, okay. Oh, really? It got too scary for him. I have two friends that were studying to be Catholic priests, and one backed out because it got too scary for him. The other said experienced attacks as he got closer. He ended up, deciding to get married instead. Well, now keep in mind, as far as scary for him, I'm not really for understanding why it would be scary, Candace. I studied for the Roman Catholic priesthood for 6 years. It was truly one of the best years of my life. I absolutely loved it. The closer, well, thank you. I am. Thank you, Shelley. The closer you get to God, the harder the devil works against you. But really, when you're getting into demonology and aspects of that, I can understand some people being concerned. Okay. we sure. If you pray out loud, absolutely. Yeah, there's no question that they can hear that. But I'm talking about if you're privately praying, they are not able to hear your prayers. That's just simply not true. Okay. Yeah, and I'll get to some of the questions that you guys have, but I have a lot of articles I want to talk about too. The parlor tricks. Yeah, can you explain some of the parlor tricks that they've tried to trick you? Is it close to what the movies show? Somewhat. Parlor tricks would be like, for example, throwing your voice. So that, and then in the right, it requires you to silence the voice, because there's a term called prognostication retrocognition. So retrocognition is the ability to know your sins. They don't know your sins because they can read your mind. They know your sins because sins fall under what's called ordinary demonic activity. So because of temptation, they obviously know if you fall into that sin. So they're going to know your sins, not because they can read your mind. That's why we, as exorcists, we always have the sacrament of reconciliation prior to performing the rite. In other words, confession. And that's absolutely crucial. There is no conversation during an exorcism. It just simply doesn't exist. The rite is unbelievably clear about that. The rubrics are clear. So the only thing that we command in the name of Jesus is its name and hour of departure. That's it. There is nothing else that the demon needs to say to me or that I need to hear. That's all I need to know. And I'm not going to tell you why. So that's crucial. Those elements are met. Now, as far as the parlor tricks, the throwing the voices, if you've ever been to, and I've talked about this before, if you go to YouTube and type in 8D surround sound, that's what throwing the voice is. So, for example, if it screams or yells, or if it mimics the voice of deceased loved ones, or if it's just trying to frighten you, then it will project it, and it will bounce. It literally bounce like a bouncing ball. I mean, it goes from here. You can hear it in the back. You can hear it in front, in everywhere. And you have to silence that voice because it can be disorienting. And that's the whole purpose, to cause disorientation. So you silence the voice. And you do that obviously through continuing the rite. The levitation can occur. I've not seen levitation like The Exorcist, but I have seen levitation. I've talked about this, but the first exorcism where she was lying this way, flat on her back, and it's like someone had tied a rope around her waist, and she was facing up, and she just did a V just like that, and it was completely unnatural. And it wasn't like you could tell she was struggling to do it herself. It was just a very slow. I mean, just there was no, you can tell when someone's trying to push up. It was very fluid. I don't know. It's hard to explain. I heard the vertebrae crack, and I had originally thought that she had broken her back. But things of this nature will try to intimidate you. Those are parlor tricks. The eyes going solid black. Again, these things are to throw you off, and it certainly did me. That was the first exorcism that I was the assistant to. So I lifted the eyelids to determine where we were during the possession. I won't explain that. So the reason is I'm very careful about what I say is because I've had experience before. 15 years ago, 17 years ago, I talked about certain things, and then people heard it online and they said, "Oh, Bishop Long trained me to perform exorcism." So that's why I'm very, very, you have to be careful with certain things that you say. So I lifted the eyelids, and her eyes were solid black. Now, I had read that could happen, but when you're actually there, but the blackness it was not a dull black. It was like I talked about, it was like a mirror. So as I lifted the eyelid, I could see my reflection in her eyes. I couldn't move. I couldn't talk. I couldn't think. I couldn't say I needed help. I was completely catatonic. It had controlled the neurological functions of the brain to where I could not function on my own. I had no autonomy. That was gone. It was a strict catatonic neurological state of being in which I had no control over my motor functions. And that was quite alarming. So the primary then took me to the side, blessed me, and we continued. So things of this nature will occur. This is why when people say, I don't believe that possession exists, or I don't believe that demons exist. Okay, that's fine. Okay. And what do you want me to say about it? You know, I tell people, I'm not here to prove to you that demons exist. I'm not here to prove to anybody that demons exist. I am here to help the families who know they do. And I'm very much at peace with that. Oh, sure. Could a demon smash a 3-foot statue of Jesus across the room? Actually, yeah. And I've seen a desecration. Religious objects are desecrated. I've seen statues thrown. I've seen a crucifix being thrown. There was one case that I had. She had a blessed crucifix, on the wall, and it was as if someone had put in there. You know, one thing falling, we've all seen that before. You hang a mirror or a picture up on the wall and it falls. Okay, no big deal. The drywall failed or whatever. The nail failed. This actually had force, extreme force behind this, to where I went in. I was performing the minor rite of exorcism, and they had a crucifix, and it was like someone took it and slammed it as hard, and it shattered. I mean, this broke everywhere. It was wooden, and it shattered. So this wasn't just a simple crucifix falling off a wall. This was a total desecration of the crucifix itself. Yeah, and that was now that's different. The minor rite of exorcism is different than the solemn rite. For those of you who don't, so the solemn rite of exorcism is reserved for an individual who is truly possessed. Now, so you perform the exorcism on the demonic that is infested in themselves within the body. The person is in a neurological catatonic state. There's no memory of the stage of possession. Now that's different than the minor rite of exorcism. And I've talked about this before. There is no such thing as performing an exorcism on a home. So that doesn't exist. You bless the home. You perform the minor rite of exorcism on the demonic entity that has infested themselves within the home. And of course, the whole point of the expulsion stage is to remove the demon from infesting itself. And then, of course, you bless the home, you have mass, etc. So, good, Carrie, that's wonderful. Yeah, no, items can't be possessed. They can have demonic attachment. So the humans become possessed. The whole point of possession is for the destruction of the living temple of the Holy Spirit, which we are. Remember, we are created in God's image. So how you desecrate the image of God is through the stages of possession. So that really is the ultimate form of blasphemy. And that's the whole part. That's the whole point of demons, to destroy God's creation, God's children. And that is why, because you have to remember that possession is a process. It's not something that happens overnight. The person goes through stages of oppression that leads to the possibility of possession. And you got to be really careful of understanding the difference. The soul doesn't, what happens to their soul if they die while possessed? The soul does not belong to the demonic. The soul belongs to God. So the body, which has occurred before, where people have passed during an exorcism, the body may deteriorate and expire, but the soul obviously continues. So the soul is not being possessed. So there's a big difference between the possession of the body versus possession of the soul. Yeah, I am Shelley says, can a human have intermittent possession? Well, actually, what you're referring to, it's a term called transient possession. So there are two terms. There's permanent or perfect possession, and then there's transient possession. So what that means is transient possession is when the demonic will enter the body and leave at will. So it will leave and enter the body. And then, of course, perfect possession is when the person is at a constant stage of possession. And that is quite frightening, because the body can only sustain so much trauma. So we have to remember that the body sustains a great deal of trauma through the stage of oppression and obsession, and then which leads to possession. And so perfect possession is something that needs immediate immediate assistance and interaction, because, and perhaps maybe even, I would say definitely medical attention too. So. Yeah, I once played it with a Ouija board, and some weeks later I saw an entity that claimed to be Satan. Well, see, that's the thing. You got to stay away from these Ouija boards. And I tell people this all the time. And they say, well, I play with it all the time and nothing has ever happened. And I always say to them, yet. Because I think it's very frightening to me that we have people who think that you can outsmart a demon. Folks, they've been around for centuries. They've seen it all. They know humanity quite well. They know our weaknesses. They know our strengths. They know the things that they can manipulate, ego. We have to be very, very cautious in thinking that we can outsmart them. Because what happens is when you start doing things that you shouldn't do, well, I can protect myself. I can do this. I can play with the Ouija board. Nothing's going to come through. You got to be careful with that type of thing. You just leave it alone. Just don't do it. Don't put yourself in that position where the possibility could exist, because it just very, very dangerous. Oh, well, wonderful, Joseph. Thank you. I appreciate. Thank you. Let's see. Maybe I'm wrong here, but you're truly a great teacher. I watch your Bible study 2 times before I go to Mass. Wonderful Sunday, and learn from you. Great. Playing games with your work has hustle. The dude playing games with your work has hustle. You'll have to explain that one to me. I don't really. Huh? Joseph? Explain that one to me. But thank you. Oh, Danielle, let me tell you something about selling your soul. What would you recommend if someone sold their soul? Well, first of all, you absolutely, if anyone who does that, I don't understand why someone would. I understand what the fame and fortune, I get it, but I don't understand why someone would sell their soul to make a pact with the devil just so they can become famous. That to me is so unbelievably dangerous and irresponsible on all levels. In this case, I would absolutely convince or tell the person you need to have the sacrament of reconciliation. I mean, because when you sell your soul to the devil, you are removing yourself from the grace of God. You are choosing. That's blasphemy, and that is something that I would say your soul is in great peril. And I would say you need, without question, the sacrament of reconciliation. So, you're welcome. Sorry, I'm just so bothered by talking about your email. Oh, I don't know who this guy is. People have said all kinds of things. They look. Here's the deal, Joseph. The deal is this. There are a lot of people out there. There's a lot of, someone is saying that there's someone out there on social media that's saying making a joke of me and all that other stuff. Here's the deal. I really don't care. I don't, and I appreciate you letting me know that. But the thing is my value is not determined by them. And actually, anybody that will go on social media to attack clergy member who help people for free and who have devoted their entire lives to helping people for absolutely free, anybody who would do that really is showing the spiritual inner turmoil that they're struggling with. And I feel sorry for that guy. I certainly will pray for him. And I hope that he realizes that being hateful and being nasty and being whatever he's saying, I don't know, is well, you're going to be held accountable. People think that you can do and say things on social media and there's no accountability for it, and there's absolutely wrong. So yeah, just send me I guess Joseph, send me if you have his Facebook or something, then I can block him, because I really have no time for people like that, because I'm too busy. I'm too busy helping folks. I don't have time for it. So yeah, Joseph, just send me if he has a Facebook, just send it to me. That way I can block him, and be done with it. I got that from online somewhere. I forgot where it was, but I got that online. Right. That's what I'm going to do. Yeah, Joseph, send me something on Facebook if you would. And then I'll block him and move on. There's a lot of people. That's why I tell people, I tell you all the time, I end my shows with your value does not decrease based on someone's inability or refusal to see your worth. You're priceless, and don't let anyone tell you or convince you otherwise. And so I tell people this all the time. Just because someone doesn't see your value, that doesn't mean that you have no value. So they can't determine your value. And quite honestly, as the old saying goes, I think my spirit irritates their demons. Because a person who is filled with the love of Christ, I've said this before too, a person who is filled with the love of Christ and the peace of Christ, they don't go around trolling people. They don't go online attacking clergy just so they can get a name for themselves. They don't do that. A person who is truly filled with the love and passion of Christ, they don't go around being hateful to people. They don't. So, okay. So anyway, there we go. Yeah, it's one of those things. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Okay. Boy, that's loud. All right. Yeah, there's a lot of people. There's, it's it gets like that. It gets like that, and so you just have to say, okay, move on. Okay. I'm trying to. Oh, wonderful, Sandra. Wonderful. Okay. So we'll put that down there. All right. Oh, no, that's fine. Hey, listen, I like debunking is good. When I think it's very helpful too. When you go to a case, that's one thing you have to be. I think a lot of people, when they see like a TikTok video, it's a 1-minute video that I do. It's a reaction to a 1-minute video that I don't know anything of the background on this video. I'm just doing a reaction to a video that people said, can you watch this and give me your initial reaction? So I go on TikTok, and that's what I do. I make a 1-minute video. I don't know the background. I have nothing. That's what I do on video, on TikTok. But when someone tells me that they think they have a demon in their home and all this other stuff, I'm very skeptical. Very, very skeptical. And because you have to be, because if I believed every single case, then I would think that thousands and thousands of people are possessed, and that's just not the case at all. That's just not. So, and it's 1 minute. There was one person I saw, but one person said, is that all you do is do TikTok videos? So I had to reply, it's a 1-minute video. It's 1 minute, literally 1 minute. There's 24 hours in a day, and you're commenting on one video that I watched. So anyway, yeah, I just thought that was kind of funny. Well, of course, you have to be trained. You have to study theology, angelology, demonology. No, not all black shadow. No, I have not seen the shadow. All shadow people being demonic. I've just not. Possession is rare. I have thousands and thousands of emails. I have over 14,000 messages on TikTok. I have lots of messages on my email. I have been doing this ministry for over 20 years, and I performed 31 exorcisms. And so over 20 years. So. Yeah, Trish, here's the deal. I don't want any type. The only spirit that I want in my home is the Holy Spirit. That's it. I don't want any other spirit in my home. Okay. All right, Joseph. Well, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's okay. I appreciate you letting me know, but I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to. Believe me, I will lose no sleep over this. So, but anyway, I've had everything. As a matter of fact, there was one time, there was one particular. This is really interesting. What you guys will be interested in knowing this. About 15 years ago, there was a particular, maybe 20, I don't know. There was a particular woman who was on Facebook, and a lot of people made fun of her, and pretty rough with her. She claimed to be psychic medium, and there were some people that were really, really, really hateful. She dressed up as like a Mrs. Claus kind of a thing, and passing out food and treats to kids during Halloween and Christmas. But anyway, a lot of people were really aggressive with her, just pretty rough. And she had posted on her Facebook that she couldn't handle it anymore, and she was about to end it, unalive herself. And people were mocking her and making fun of her. And then I posted, and she came up on my feed for whatever reason, and then I posted on her page. I said, enough is enough. You people who are doing this, she's telling you, so stop it. That was it. Something like that. Just knock it off. Well, so you can go and you can check this out. So the Ripoff Report then did an article on her or something, an expose on her, and then included my name into this thing, the protecting or defending her or whatever it was. And it was a really nasty article. And so I contacted the owner of the Ripoff Report, and I told them, this is what I have nothing to do with this woman. Why are you including my name with this person? I don't even know her. At that time, I didn't even know her. I had no idea who she was. And so I was telling people to knock it off. Stop. She's telling you she's going to unalive herself because she can't handle the type of attacks. And so all I did is say, people stop. So the Ripoff Report told me that I would have to pay, I think it was like $5,000, $2,000 or $5,000. I had to look at the email, $2,000 or $5,000, and that they couldn't technically remove it, but that they could take it to the back so that it wouldn't go on the search engines. I said, so this is extortion, is what you're doing. You've written a false report about me defending a woman who claims to be a psychic medium who I don't even know, and you're telling me that you're not going to remove it unless I pay, I think I can't remember how much, $2,000 or $5,000, I can't remember. I said, that's what you're telling me here. So this is extortion. So that's the type of crap that I've dealt with through the years. And again, I don't. It's one of those things. I'm so used to this stuff. What the crazy part about this guy? I'm so used to that. Thank you. I'm so used to that type of behavior that I've gotten so immune to it. That it's kind of like, because I've learned that the more attention you give the haters, then the more you feed the hate. And I just, fallen angels or demons. It certainly was, but he had under the protection of the freedom of the acts, the rights of speech, etc. And I talked to an attorney. I did talk to an attorney, and he said, James, the problem is we could sue them, but you're not going to be able to. You're not going to get. There's nothing you're going to get from it as far as monetary gain because you don't do this for any type of fun. So it's not like, if I was charging $5,000 or $10,000 for an exorcism and that was my business and it affected my financial loss, then certainly I could have sued them and won. But there's no, I don't do it for money. I've never charged. So therefore it would just been like, whatever. I certainly will. They're welcome always. I'm going to have Billy. I'm going to have Willie back on. Billy, I'm going to have him. I'm definitely going to have Willie Windwalker back on. Yeah. So anyway, we don't. The shadow people. It's we don't know. The jury is out on that. A lot of people think that shadow people are spirits, human spirits that are trying to manifest. It simply they don't have enough energy to do so. There's a lot of people who believe that shadow people are all demons. I have not found that to be the truth. So for me, it's kind of, I have been in many locations where I have seen shadow people and I did not feel threatened at all. None. No threat. So, and then I've been in some locations where I've seen shadow people where it was incredibly threatening. So, see, we don't know. I've had a lot of locations that were haunted, that had paranormal activity that was not violent in any way, shape, form, or fashion. I go there, I begin to pray. And I'm telling you now, that's provocation. So if you have a demonic that has infested themselves within the home and you begin to pray, that's provocation. And there have been many cases where the families, the doors will shut or something is moved, but there's nothing violent. And I go and I pray the activity does not become violent. There's no violence whatsoever. So I can't. I believe that there are some people who believe all hauntings are demons, demonic. I just simply have not found that to be true. So, yeah, Izzy, I do. Well, thank you very much. I do believe that some people are more in tune as far as sensing, the beings or spirits. But I'm telling you, you don't need to be a psychic or medium to tell that to know that there's a demon present. Now that I will tell you now, you won't need that. I'm going to remind everybody, I'm not leaving yet. We're still staying here. I'm going to be here tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern. From 8 to 8:30, Miss Wilma and I are here. We're just joking off, have a good time. We just chat. And then at 8:30, then I go into your questions again, and we talk about theology or anything. It's open mic night. Open mic. So... yeah, you can absolutely tell. Yeah, I know. Bobby Mackey's is being torn down. Yeah, I'm aware of that. It's I don't know what they're going to do. I don't. Someone told me they're going to rebuild or they're going to update. I don't know. Sulfur, Tina, because a Revelation says that at the end that they will be thrown into the lake of sulfur. Yeah, the Book of Enoch really has a lot of problems in it, obviously, because and we talked about that before. The Book of Enoch places the blame of sin directly on demons. It takes the culpability away from humans, which is problematic. It's very Gnostic. It also refers to the Nephilim, and I've talked about that before. The Nephilim were not the offsprings of demons and women. They just weren't, folks. Genesis chapter 6, verse 4 tells us that the Nephilim existed before and after the sons of God had relations with women. So therefore, the Nephilim could not have been the offspring of demons and women. Jesus also says that angels neither procreate or marry. And also, 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 7, St. Paul tells us, stop arguing over the endless genealogies and the foolish myths of the Nephilim. In the Septuagint, we see absolutely, we see in the Greek, we see that Nephilim means fierce warriors. Fierce warriors has nothing to do with giants. It has nothing to do with the offspring of demons and women. And by the way, the sons of God were known as the children of Seth. So any rabbi will tell you that Seth was the third child of Adam and Eve. So the sons of God were not the demons. They did not have relations with women. And the Nephilim were not the offspring. This is just basically stuff that, a lot of documentaries and movies and television shows and all this other stuff, they promulgate this information ultimately to sell a documentary movie because it's scary and it sells. But that's the truth. Genesis chapter 6, verse 4 makes it very clear that the Nephilim were not offspring of demons of women. Was Judas possessed? That's a tough question, Cuttlebug. Could he have been? Could certainly we could. I think we could say that he had some form of evil and attachment, influence. But the thing is Judas, here's the problem with the saying the possession. When you're under the stage of possession, you have no memory of what you do or what you have done during the stage of possession. Judas clearly knew what he was doing. Hence, he hung himself. So there is some form of remorse there. And I think he was fully aware of his faculties. But Judas was also, Judas wasn't into, he liked to stir the pot. And he was waiting for the Messiah to overthrow the Roman Empire. He was a thief too. He stole from the purse that they had. But Judas, he was wanting to be a part of this huge movement to overthrow the Roman Empire. And when Jesus came on board and he thought, that's the Messiah, I want to be a part of this, because he would make a lot more money. He would have fame. He would have the fortune. He would have the power, everything that he always wanted. Greed, demonic influence. And he thought he found a way to do this by Jesus, because he thought it was the Messiah. So Jesus shows up on scene, now starts talking about laying your life down for people that you love. And Judas is saying, now, wait a minute, this is not what I signed up for. Because they were always taught that the Messiah would show up and overthrow the Roman Empire. Well, Jesus comes on and says, nope, that's not how you do it. So I think he was demonically influenced, and I think he was demonically influenced by greed and by power and wealth and fame, etc. And that's called ordinary demonic activity. And I think the demons, no question. Remember, because at this time, the devil was doing everything that it could to stop Jesus from fulfilling his role as the Messiah. So the devil thought, good, I'll use Judas as a perfect catalyst, and we'll end the Messiah completely, and I'll win. I'll defeat. The Messiah is defeated. However, the moment that the Satan did this, he sealed his fate because of his pride. And that's exactly what happened to Satan. That's why he got, in the end, sorry, buddy, you just weren't smart enough. So, yeah, the red heifer, yeah. Yeah, the circus. Yeah, and I have a lot. I couldn't get to them today and that's okay. We had a lot of great questions. I do have a lot of really cool articles that I want to talk to you guys about, and I'm telling you, some of these articles are really neat. So we'll be here tomorrow at 8 p.m. Yeah, the devil, and certainly the devil entered Judas, but when you're talking about possession, I think that the devil, no question, thank you, the devil no doubt influenced, but Judas in his own free will. Because there's a theology that poor Judas was a pawn in the game and he shouldn't have done this and all this other stuff. No. Let's not make Judas the victim here. Because as I've talked about this before, Jesus was going to be crucified one way or the other. He did not need Judas to do this. Judas chose to do this because of greed, because of his own ego, his own selfishness, and his own desires. But see, the book of Enoch, that's why the book of Enoch would blame put the blame strictly on demons and say, aha, it wasn't poor old Judas's fault, it was demons' fault. Demons, no. You can't take the equation of free will out of the situation. Yeah, you can go to usocc.org and you can find out what's up. I don't know, Jordan. I don't know. But anyway, that's the situation. I'm not leaving right now, but for those of you on Spreaker, I'm going to say goodnight to you guys. It's just easier to close the Spreaker out. There we go. So we'll close that out. Tonight we have night prayer, and you're more than welcome to join us. We'd love to have you guys come and celebrate and pray with us. That's you can go to bishopjameslong.com. That's probably easiest, bishopjameslong.com. If you go to bishopjameslong.com, scroll all the way down, and you will see night prayer. If you click that link, and it will take you right there to night prayer. We play music around 9:45, and thank you, Mr. Producer. And then at 9:45, we start at 10 p.m. usocc.org. That's the church's website. We did, Jordan. Yeah, we talked about that the first hour. Oh, absolutely, Sheena. Yeah, absolutely. You'd say that definitely is Sheena saying is saying our Father a strong safety prayer against negativity. Absolutely. Anytime you call upon God, no matter anytime just call upon God. Now, remember, demons are not Demons are not there with God. They're not on the same level at all. Demons are created beings. So you call upon God and it's taken care of. So that's hopefully that will help. Yep. So tomorrow I'm going to be here. Well, yeah, Ruben, I kind of briefly talked about that. Our Ruben 99, if we are made in the image of God, why do humans get possessed? Because that destroying the living temple of the Holy Spirit, which we are, destroying those that are created in God's image, the destruction of God's image is the ultimate form of blasphemy. And so that's the ultimate goal of a demon, because there's so much hatred towards the image of God. There's so much hatred towards God that they certainly want to destroy the living temple of the Holy Spirit, which we are. And they certainly want to destroy the image, that's the beings that are created in the image of God, which we are. So how do you do this? With a desecration of the body. Okay, so for those of you on Facebook, YouTube, KGRADB, and Rumble, I want to say, remember and listen to all of you, that your value does not decrease based on someone's inability or refusal to see your worth. You're priceless. Don't let anybody tell you or convince you otherwise. So Facebook, YouTube, and KGRADB Radio and Rumble, good night. The Sacred Division has been brought to you by Bishop Long's online paranormal course. Learn demonology, angelology, paranormal studies, and genealogy. It's 100% online, and you learn at your own pace. Please go to www.bishopjameslong.com and click on the paranormal course link.